is now entering the position where humanity can observe it most clearly. Yet strangely, NASA has suddenly stopped releasing any updates, as if they're trying to hide something. 3I Atlas has accelerated, changing its trajectory as if it's guiding itself toward a specific destination. This has led many experts to suspect that it may actually be a probe sent by an extraterrestrial civilization from a distant world. Most recently, Joe Rogan expressed concern after learning that 3I Atlas's path almost perfectly aligns with the location where the WOW signal was detected back in 1977. Do you think that's just a coincidence, or could it be the universe responding after nearly 50 years of silence? What you're about to see may forever change the way we look at the sky. It began with a visitor from beyond our solar system. Astronomers named it 3I Atlas, the third known interstellar object ever detected by humankind. At first, it seemed harmless, just a comet drifting through space after billions of years of isolation. But as it drew closer to the sun, something about it began to break the rules of nature. Its orbit wasn't random, its speed wasn't constant, and its light flickered as if it came from something alive. By late October, 3I Atlas had entered the perfect position for observation. It was the moment scientists had waited for. The object was close enough for telescopes on Earth, on Mars, and even in orbit to capture its every detail. For NASA, the world's most trusted space agency, this was supposed to be a milestone. After decades of deep space missions and countless discoveries, the agency was about to give humanity its clearest look at an interstellar visitor. But then, something unthinkable happened. Just hours before the closest approach, NASA suddenly announced a government shutdown. Every mission was halted, every communication channel frozen, and every telescope connected to its network, including the James Webb Space Telescope and the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter, went offline. There was no warning, no explanation, and no new images. The world watched in disbelief as the agency that had revealed the universe for decades simply went dark. It felt like the stars had vanished overnight. For years, NASA had been a symbol of transparency and scientific truth. So when it stopped transmitting at the exact moment humanity had its best chance to study an alien object, the silence felt deliberate. Across the ocean, Europe and Japan kept their observatories running. Their cameras caught blurred images of something enormous rotating slowly against the sun's light. Its motion wasn't chaotic like a comet's. It was steady, controlled, almost mechanical. Even more curious were the flashes, bursts of reflected light appearing and disappearing in perfect rhythm, like a pulse from deep space. When those frames leaked online, the reaction was immediate. Social media filled with disbelief and suspicion. Hashtags like Mars Silence and Atlas Watch spread across the internet, while amateur astronomers began comparing their own data, noticing strange light intervals that didn't match any known cosmic behavior. Many wondered how the world's leading space agency could go completely dark at the most important moment of the year. Inside the scientific community, rumors spread of a classified memo referencing anomalous readings inconsistent with known celestial models. If true, it meant 3I Atlas was doing something that physics couldn't explain. A few independent researchers claimed to have detected faint radio pulses repeating every 17 minutes, originating from the same region of the sky. For the first time, people wondered if silence could mean fear. NASA's decision left humanity blind just when it mattered most, forcing the world to question what it was hiding. What did they see that they couldn't explain? When the data finally returned, what scientists saw didn't just defy explanation, it defied the very laws of physics themselves. When the data finally came back online, scientists expected ordinary numbers, speed, rotation, composition. Instead, What they saw shattered every rule they thought they knew about motion in space. 3I Atlas had changed. Its trajectory showed a sudden increase in velocity of 1.7%, even though there was no visible force or gas emission to explain the boost. No jets of vapor, no dust trail, no evidence of melting ice. And yet, it moved as if something inside had decided to accelerate. For natural comets, changes like this are impossible. They move under gravity and solar radiation pressure, nothing more. But 3I Atlas behaved differently. It seemed to adjust its course with perfect precision, flattening its orbit into a line so exact that astronomers described it as machine-like. It was the kind of stability that required control. Then came the second anomaly. Its surface suddenly brightened, doubling in intensity for exactly 6 minutes before fading again. There were no solar flares at that time, and the surrounding space was clear of interference. The pattern looked artificial, like a pulse. Thermal readings taken moments later revealed a spike in temperature across its outer shell, followed by a wave of low-level gamma radiation. The emission wasn't chaotic like normal cosmic radiation. It repeated in a steady rhythm. Something inside was generating energy on its own. Dr. Avi Loeb, the Harvard astrophysicist who first called attention to these details, couldn't ignore the data. He argued that no natural explanation fit the evidence. If no external force was pushing it, perhaps it was propelling itself. Loeb suggested that 3I Atlas might not be a comet at all, but a light sail, a thin artificial structure that uses sunlight as propulsion. The same concept has been tested on Earth, but never on this scale. The idea sent shockwaves through the scientific world. If true, it meant the object was built, not born. Meanwhile, the James Webb Space Telescope detected unusual polarization in its reflected light. Instead of scattering like ordinary dust, the light bent sharply, as if bouncing off a smooth metallic surface. This discovery supported Loeb's claim that the body could be coated with reflective material engineered to maximize thrust. But perhaps the strangest finding came from its motion relative to the planets nearby. As it passed through Mars's orbit, its trajectory did not curve even slightly toward the planet's gravity. It simply continued straight, immune to pull. That kind of control doesn't exist in nature. Either 3I Atlas had an incredible mass-to-surface ratio that defied physics, or it was actively correcting its path. In other words, something or someone was flying it. At first, most scientists refused to believe it. They said the data must be misread or the instruments malfunctioning. But when independent observatories confirmed the same anomalies, denial became difficult. 3I Atlas wasn't behaving like a rock or ice body. It was performing like a craft following commands. Some researchers even noticed faint patterns in its acceleration that resembled coded sequences, short bursts, pauses, and repeats, almost like a binary rhythm hidden in its movement. The question then wasn't whether it was real, but what it was doing here. Was it observing, searching, or preparing for something else? Each discovery made the silence from NASA seem more deliberate. Because if this object truly operated with intention, then the agency's decision to go dark might not have been about confusion. It might have been about control. By the time new data reached the public, the scientific debate had turned into a quiet panic. Every measurement, every reading pointed to the same conclusion. 3I Atlas was breaking the rules of the universe. And if it wasn't bound by our laws of motion, maybe it wasn't bound by our understanding of life either. What could possibly send an object across interstellar space with such precision? Maybe they're hidden in something we heard nearly 50 years ago. A strange signal that still hasn't stopped echoing through the stars. That's where the story of the WOW signal begins, and where 3I Atlas appears. Long before 3I Atlas appeared in our skies, another mystery had already left scientists speechless. In 1977, a powerful radio burst was detected by a telescope at Ohio State University. It lasted exactly 70 seconds and came from deep space, from a place where there were no known stars or planets. Astronomer Jerry Amon circled the strange code on the computer printout and wrote one word beside it. That name would stick forever. The WOW signal became one of the greatest unsolved puzzles in astronomy. It wasn't random noise and it wasn't a natural frequency. It was narrow, focused, and organized, almost like someone or something was transmitting deliberately. For decades, scientists searched the same region of the sky but never heard it again. The source was silent. Then came 3I Atlas. When researchers calculated its incoming path, they noticed something impossible. Its trajectory aligned almost perfectly with the area of space where the WOW signal originated, only 9 degrees apart on the celestial map. That small difference could be explained by the movement of stars or the passage of time. But the idea that an interstellar object would arrive from the same region after nearly 50 years was enough to make even skeptics pause. Some called it coincidence. Others called it a reply. Dr. Avi Loeb was one of the first to publicly question the connection. If the WOW signal was a greeting, he asked, what if this is the response? His theory reignited global debate. Could 3I Atlas be connected to the signal humanity picked up half a century ago? Independent astronomers began comparing old data from 1977 with new readings from Atlas's light patterns. A few claimed to see faint similarities between the WOW waveform and the timing of Atlas's radiation bursts. It wasn't proof, but it was enough to reopen a mystery everyone thought was finished. And once again, NASA stayed silent. No confirmation, no denial, just absence. Meanwhile, UFO researchers pointed out something stranger. In 1977, when the WOW signal was first detected, it came from the direction of Sagittarius, near a group of stars known as Chi Sagittarii. That same area is now exactly where 3I Atlas began its interstellar approach. It was as if something launched long ago had finally arrived at its destination, our solar system. Some even suggested that the signal might have been a warning, a countdown, or a marker left for whoever built it to find again. But no one could explain why it returned now or what it wanted. All we know is that this object, once invisible to us, now carries echoes of a message we still don't understand. If it really came from the same source, that means the sender was capable of crossing light years and timing its arrival to within decades. That's not random, that's intention, and that changes everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. So, what if the WOW signal wasn't just a mystery we heard once? What if it was a promise, and 3I Atlas is the moment that promise comes due? After months of silence and half-answers, a new theory started spreading through the scientific community, and it was one that many had been afraid to say out loud. What if 3I Atlas wasn't a comet at all? What if it was something made? Its perfect orbit, the steady bursts of energy, and the metallic reflection didn't fit any known natural object. Astronomers who tried to model its behavior found themselves at a dead end. Every simulation failed unless they assumed one impossible thing: intelligence. Jeremy Corbell, a well-known UFO investigator, said he had been warning for years that a mothership would eventually appear near Earth. When asked about 3I Atlas, he didn't hesitate. "This is it," he said. "This is what we've been waiting for." To him, it wasn't just a rock from another star, it was a controlled craft, sent for observation. But Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb took a calmer, more scientific approach. He didn't believe in fantasy, only in evidence. Loeb proposed that 3I Atlas could be an artificial probe, a robotic scout designed by an advanced civilization to travel between star systems. The concept wasn't new. Humanity had already launched similar missions like Voyager and Pioneer, carrying messages in hopes of being found someday. What if someone else had done the same, millions of years before us? Radar analysis added weight to that idea. Reflections showed symmetrical structures several meters thick beneath the object's outer layer. They weren't random formations like you'd see in an asteroid. They looked built, rigid, even engineered. Some described them as a honeycomb frame, the kind of structure you'd expect in aerospace design where strength meets minimal weight. Then came the leak. According to a source inside NASA, the agency had quietly labeled all 3I Atlas data under a special category called strategic ambiguity. That meant they could release only the information that wouldn't cause panic and keep the rest sealed. It explained why official updates were vague, why new images were delayed, and why so many observatories suddenly went offline for maintenance. The public never saw the unfiltered data. Independent researchers, however, did. Several teams in Europe and Asia shared their findings online, claiming they had detected a repeating light pattern from 3I Atlas every 17 minutes, almost like a clock. The rhythm was too consistent to be natural. It hinted at a mechanical process, maybe even a form of communication. If true, that meant the object wasn't drifting, it was operating. The alien hypothesis divided the scientific world. Skeptics said people were overreacting, that there were still unexplored natural explanations, but believers argued that ignoring the evidence was no longer scientific. It was denial. They pointed out how NASA's silence mirrored the same behavior seen during other classified discoveries when secrecy was chosen over transparency. And with every unanswered question, public trust started to erode. The internet turned 3I Atlas into a cultural storm. Was it a probe, 3I Atlas, or a weapon? Every theory found an audience, and every new leak pushed the mystery further. Even Joe Rogan, one of the most popular voices in modern media, voiced his concern. He said it was weird, really weird, that the US government shut down communications just when we had the best chance to capture clear images. Then he added something that made listeners freeze. 3I Atlas flight path matched the same region of space where the WOW signal came from in 1977. It was as if the same voice that once spoke to us from the stars had returned, this time in the form of an object. And if that's true, maybe NASA isn't silent because they know nothing. Maybe they're silent because they know too much. So the question isn't just what 3I Atlas is anymore. It's why it came back now and what it's waiting for. For scientists, the biggest shock came when they finally mapped 3I Atlas's exact trajectory. After months of observation, both NASA and the European Space Agency confirmed that the object was not leaving the solar system as most comets do. It was coming back. Its course curved inward in a perfect arc, heading directly toward the inner planets, and by December 2027, it would pass closer to Earth than the Moon itself. The numbers were chilling. Traveling at over 130,000 miles per hour, the object would sweep through our orbit with a diameter of nearly 7 miles, larger than Mount Everest. If it were to collide, the impact would release more energy than every nuclear weapon on Earth combined. Astronomers quietly called it a nation buster, a polite way to describe an extinction-level event. NASA issued no public warning, only a technical note saying there was no immediate danger. But what truly disturbed scientists wasn't just the size, it was the precision. 3I Atlas's orbit was stable and unnaturally smooth, as if something was guiding it through the gravitational chaos of space. Normally, a comet that size would be pulled slightly off course by Jupiter or Mars. This one didn't flinch. Every gravitational curve, every light pressure adjustment, it compensated with absolute accuracy. It behaved less like a rock and more like a vehicle with a mission. When astronomers traced its path backward, they realized it began its inward turn exactly 50 years after the WOW signal was detected. To believers, that timing wasn't coincidence, it was synchronization. Some theorize that the signal we heard in 1977 might have been a message announcing its arrival, and that what we're seeing now is the delivery. Others went further, suggesting that 3I Atlas wasn't just passing by, it was targeting Earth. Online forums exploded with claims of a planetary reset, a cosmic reboot similar to the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs 65 million years ago. This idea was fueled by one haunting possibility, that the object wasn't natural but a deliberate mechanism designed to reset civilizations once they reach a certain point of technological chaos. As wild as that sounds, ancient myths from different cultures describe something eerily similar, a star of cleansing that arrives when humanity loses balance. Even Avi Loeb admitted the coincidence was mathematically unsettling. While conspiracy theories spread, another discovery deepened the mystery. The James Webb Space Telescope had recently captured galaxies that formed just 300 million years after the Big Bang. According to current physics, galaxies that old shouldn't exist. It suggested that the universe might be far older than 13.7 billion years, and that civilizations could have risen and fallen long before us. If that's true, then 3I Atlas might not be from a future civilization, but from a forgotten one, a relic from a cosmic past, still moving through space, carrying knowledge or warning of something greater. This revelation sparked a terrifying question inside the scientific community. What if the object isn't traveling toward Earth by chance? What if Earth was part of its original route all along? The thought reframed everything. We aren't just watching an object move through space, we might be witnessing the restart of something written into the fabric of time. So the real question isn't whether 3I Atlas will hit Earth, it's what happens to us if it doesn't. When Earth's most advanced instruments turned toward 3I Atlas, something extraordinary happened. For the first time in history, a celestial object seemed to respond to observation. The pulse pattern was faint but precise, an electromagnetic wave repeating with almost perfect rhythm. Every 17 minutes, a spike of energy resonates across the planet's most powerful observatories. This time, humanity wasn't looking through a few telescopes in isolation. We had built a global eye in the sky. From the 500-meter FAST telescope in China to the ALMA array in Chile's Atacama Desert, our network can now detect signals weaker than the static from a dying star. In orbit, the James Webb Space Telescope measured the object's thermal fluctuations with accuracy down to 1/1000th of a degree. ESA's Gaia satellite mapped its movement within a fraction of a millimeter per second. Even the Deep Space Network, NASA's web of 70-meter antennas spanning California, Spain, and Australia, is linked with quantum-assisted processors that could cross-analyze millions of readings in real time. After decades of progress, we had finally built the tools to watch the universe in motion, but this time, the universe seemed to watch back. At first, scientists believed they were observing a natural pulsar, like PSRB 0950+08, known for its steady flashes. But soon, something didn't fit. The pulse from 3I Atlas was delayed by exactly 2 seconds each cycle. That delay was too specific, too perfect to be random. It was intentional. Within days, radio telescopes across the globe locked onto it. FAST confirmed the signal. ALMA verified it. Even smaller European stations picked up the same binary-like rhythm, ones and zeros arranged like a digital code. If this was a natural signal, it was the strangest one ever recorded. Some call it the heartbeat of the unknown. Others began to whisper that the object was aware, responding to our gaze like it knew we were watching. And just as the world demanded answers, NASA went silent. No statements, no updates, no public data. Insiders leaked that the agency had quietly activated a new classified observation channel separate from the Deep Space Network, accessible only to a few scientists under tight control. Its purpose? To study what they call non-standard feedback phenomena. In simpler words, it might be reacting. That silence makes the public suspicious. Why would the world's most transparent space agency hide a discovery that could redefine reality? Some researchers noticed that the signal's frequency shifted whenever telescopes changed focus, almost like a mirror reflecting our own attention. Others calculated that each pulse's delay matched the round-trip time of a signal between Earth and 3I Atlas, as if the object were sending a reply. Then came the impossible theory. What if 3I Atlas wasn't just being tracked? It was tracking us back. Podcasts, news networks, and forums explode with debate. Some argued this was proof of intelligent design. Others called it coincidence, but when independent analyses plotted the pulse pattern, they found a sequence hidden beneath the noise, 9 repeating peaks, perfectly symmetrical, like a coded acknowledgement. If it was random, it was the most organized randomness the universe had ever seen. Now, observatories around the world are working together like never before. AI-powered supercomputers merge global data streams in real time, searching for structure inside the signal. For the first time, humanity's entire scientific network is unified under one mystery. Some believe it's a warning, others believe it's an invitation. Either way, the countdown to December 2027 continues. Who knows? The signals 3I Atlas sends are a greeting from afar, but is our human intelligence wise enough to decipher the messages that the interstellar visitor is trying to convey? For decades, we've looked into the sky, waiting for a sign that we're not alone. Now, something might finally be answering. 3I Atlas moves with purpose, following a path that matches the source of the mysterious WOW signal from 1977, as if returning to the place where the first message was sent. Some say it's only a comet. Others believe it's a probe, built by an intelligence far older than us, crossing the stars to make contact. If that's true, then maybe it's about connection, and whether humanity is ready to listen when the universe finally speaks.